began the task of taking the wrapped food out of each basket and handing it to the two men and Goosey.
"How many were there?"
asked Helen. Goosey answered,
"She has 4 beautiful rabbits, 2 girls and 2 boys. The littlest one is so cute."
When the wrapped food had been divided among everyone, they started down the burrow entryway toward the kitchen. Helen asked,
"Goosey, where should I put this hot pan?"
"I'll take it,"
said Goosey. She took the hot pan of food from Helen and walked toward the stove, while the men began putting the bundles of food down on the table.
"What smells so wonderful?"
inquired Goosey.
"It's only my nutmeg casserole,"
Helen replied. While Goosey and the two men began unwrapping the bundles of food, Helen headed to Cynthia's room. Sitting next to Cynthia was Eleanor Travers. She stood up quickly and hugged her friend. After embracing each other warmly, Helen leaned over and kissed Cynthia on her cheek.
"How are you feeling?"
she asked.
"Just fine,"
smiled Cynthia. Helen then looked over at the new litter of rabbits as they nursed.
"Oh, Cynthia, they are all so cute. What are their names?"
Cynthia pointed at each one and then began to name them off one at a time.
"The oldest is Flopsy. This one's Mopsy. Here is Cottontail. Over there is—"
Cynthia leaned over and picked up the last one, who had just gotten bumped out of the way from drinking her warm milk.
"Peter. Yes, I think he will be called Peter."
All through February and March, Cynthia received welcome support from all her animal friends in Willow Tree Meadow. They pitched in without her asking, and helped Cynthia with things that she could not imagine asking them to do ordinarily. Each day, her 4 little rabbits grew stronger and bigger. By April, her babies were big enough to start Miss Deary's school for the young. Tale number 1. Lil Pete learns about Mr. McGregor's garden. Peter, or Lil Pete as his friends called him, woke earlier than usual on the last day in April. Lil Pete peeped out of his warm burrow to catch a glimpse at the last of the winter's snow melting around the tree trunks' beds. "I'm so happy that spring is finally here," thought Lil Pete. Just then, Tommy, a squirrel, came running by. "Tommy, Tommy, where are you going?" called out Lil Pete. Tommy Thumb was the full name of the small reddish-brown girl squirrel, one of Lil Pete's best friends. Tommy and Lil Pete had met not too long ago when Lil Pete and Tommy's mothers had run into each other while shopping for food at Nutkin Market. Both mothers struck up a long conversation about their children. Tommy was the youngest of Miss Thumb's litter, just like Lil Pete. While Lil Pete and Tommy's mother were engaged in a deep conversation regarding their large households, Lil Pete and Tommy became acquainted. After that day, Lil Pete and Tommy's friendship grew quickly. Not a day would pass that Lil Pete and Tommy did not see each other. On this day, Lil Pete was quite puzzled as to why Tommy did not stop to talk. Tommy darted up a large willow tree that was close to Lil Pete's house. She had not bothered to look back at the surprised Lil Pete. Suddenly, Lil Pete knew why Tommy had not stopped to talk. Miss Moppet came running by, shouting at the top of her voice,
"Tommy Thumb, just wait till I get you!"
Molly Moppet, or Miss Moppet, was a quite large white cat with green watermelon-colored eyes. She belonged to Mr. McGregor, who was known by all as the meanest farmer in Willow Tree Meadow. Even though she belonged to Mr. McGregor, she had been an ally to all the animals of Willow Tree Meadow. Her friendship with the animals in Willow Tree Community had developed several years back. As a kitten, the animals of Willow Tree Community had helped her escape the claws of Herod, a one-eyed eagle. It had been a near escape that Miss Moppet would never forget. She would be forever grateful to her willow friends. Since then, Miss Moppet had always shown her loyalty by keeping all the animals well informed about the comings and goings at Mr. McGregor's farm. A furious Miss Moppet mewed in a disgruntled tone.
"If I ever catch you, Tommy Thumb, I will put a good licking on your backside. Tommy Thumb, you better stay away from Mr. McGregor's garden."
Tommy raced over several large willow tree limbs and hopped off in the direction of her house. She never stopped until she reached the open hole of her home. Lil Pete just stared, puzzled, as Tommy disappeared inside. Realizing that catching Tommy would be impossible, Miss